Hi America, I'm Philip. I have a story and a situation that I feel the world needs to know about, and maybe you can help me with it. In 1981, I met this girl, and I fell madly in love with her. She had 2 children at the time, but I didn't care. I was in love with her, and as that saying goes, love me, love mine. A year later, I decided I'm going to marry her because I loved her. She was sweet. She was nice. She was the type of woman that any man would be glad to have. So in January of 1981, I'm standing up there in a white tuxedo, looking good, I must say. She had a beautiful white gown on. And I'm standing at the altar, and when she comes up to the altar, the reverend that was preaching, he asked, "Philip, would you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife?" And I said proudly, "I do." She then leaned over and said, "I got you," in a whispery voice. So at first, I didn't pay it no mind. I was wondering, like, why'd she say that to me? I don't know why she would say that. But I'm thinking that she means that she got me, she's going to be my partner, we're going to make things work, and we're going to last forever. This is what I thought. So as we leave in the church, we're going to take pictures. So on our way to take pictures, I asked her, I said, "Baby, why'd you say you got me? I mean, you going to hold me down? What did you mean by that?" She says, "I just wanted you to marry me. I just wanted you to take care of my kids. And now I'm going to make your life a living hell." So, to me, I've always had a sense of humor. So I said, "Okay, baby, you got it. You win this round. Stop joking. All right, you got me. Boom, knockout punch. It's over. That's real funny on your part. Ha, ha, ha." And she said, "I'm not playing with you." And I was like, "You can't be serious, because all I've done is love you and love your kids. So please tell me you're not serious." She said, "I'm going to get half of everything you got, and I'm going to make your life a living hell." So as we approached the reception, when we got out to go inside, if you've never been married, then you can learn from this. When you're married and you reach the reception, the host is supposed to introduce you as husband and wife. So as we got up to the door, and my brother, who is my best man, he was about to make the announcement and introduce us, she walks straight over to the wedding table and sits down. Now I'm stuck in the middle of the floor because, man and wife, you're supposed to have a first dance. And people are looking at me, kind of strange. So I played it off. I was like, "Excuse me, but she doesn't feel good. She's a little upset, And she yelled down, "Don't make excuses for me. I don't need you to tell them that." So you can imagine what I was starting to go through. So at that time, I had to walk outside because I started getting upset because, I was still contemplating what she had said to me when she said she's going to make my life a living hell. Why would you make a man that's taking care of you and your children make my life a living hell? I just don't understand it. I gave you a nice start to a nice life, and you're going to tell me this? You're going to tell me that you was faking it all this time just to get a name for you and your children? That's not even right. But that's part of what I'm going through. So now let's take it from the reception to the house. We're getting ready to go on our honeymoon. I go into the bathroom because I'm upset and, I'm starting to cry. And I don't know what she's doing in the kitchen. All I know is she went in the kitchen. I went in the bathroom. I was crying. She comes to the bathroom and she said, "What you crying for?" I said, "'Cause, you know, you're hurting me right now." "Oh, you nothing but a big baby." I was like, "Okay, I'll be a big baby, but please close the door on your way out." You know? And she was like, "F you then." And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. This is my wedding day. I done got told that she's been faking it all this time. I got told that she's going to make my life a living hell. She's going to take half of everything I got. Now I'm sitting on the toilet and she's going to tell me F you. I tell her to close the door. You know, see, this is crazy. So when I came out the bathroom, I walked into the kitchen. As I walked into the kitchen, she is sitting at the kitchen table, opening up envelopes that people have given us, shaking them like this, with the monies and checks dropping out, and she's just throwing the cards to the side. So I watched this after a little while, and I'm like, what are you doing? You know, how do you know who gave us what? How are you just opening up cards and just flapping whatever comes out and throwing the cards to the side when you don't know, when we send out thank you cards, who do we thank? How do we thank them? Well, I'm just seeing what everybody gave. And I was like, look, give me my mother, my brother, and my sister's cards. Long as you don't open them cards, we good. But if you opened up one of them cards and shook it, you might as well call 911, because it's going to be trouble. So I took the cards and I told her, I said, you know, you being so low, you keep every damn card that you got. Whatever fell out that card, you keep it. Because I wasn't worried about it, you know, and I was frustrated. So anyway, we went on our honeymoon. It just so happens, to make a long story short, she left me on my honeymoon. When I went to do some activities, she went back to New York, left me in our vacation spot, all because I didn't tell her how much I paid for the trip. And we got into a big argument about it. So, 1 minute, I'm with the woman that a man would love to have, and when I said I do, she turned into a living hell. I kid you not, a living hell. So, let's go forward. A while after that, I separate from her and I leave. At that time, she was pregnant with my biological son, who was born in 1982. So, at that time, she took me into court to pay support for the children. Now, mind you, her 2 children had 2 different fathers. Their fathers were alive, but she has not had contact with any of those fathers. But by law in New York City, being that I was married to her, the children became my responsibility. So it was mandated, a court order, that I pay $35 bi-weekly for all 3 children. At that time, 2 years old, 4 years old, and 6 years old. Now, my biological son, which is Philip Jr., I had him. I took her to court. I got custody of him. He was with me the whole time, while she wouldn't let me have Stephen and Ronnie. I asked her, I said, please, I will pay you to keep these kids. Just let me give them a life. But she told me no. So, unfortunately, there was nothing I can do. Well, on February 20th, 1985, I came home from work. I was working as a special patrolman in New York City, in Rochdale Village. And my lieutenant told me, you got to call home right away. So I grabbed the phone and I called, and when I called, my brother answered the phone and he was crying, and my brother doesn't cry for nothing. And he was telling me, you got to get home, you got to get home, please come home. Well, that day I didn't drive to work, because I was going downtown, meet up with some buddies. We were going to have some drinks, and I didn't believe in drinking and driving. So I got on the train. I got on the E train in Jamaica, on Jamaica Avenue. As I got on the train, we went one stop. When we went to that one stop, a gentleman got on the train and he was reading the Daily News. And on the front cover of the Daily News, it said 2 children found murdered. So I'm saying to myself, like, oh man, that's crazy, man. Somebody done went and killed some kids. That's just pissing me off. So as he was reading the paper, he turned the page. And when he turned the page, there was a little article. And it said, Daily News offering a $10,000 reward for any information leading to the murders of 2 children at 2000 Valentine Avenue in the Bronx, New York. So when I saw the address, I'm like, that's where I was living. So it didn't hit me at first. And then they had a picture of like a crime scene. And then right next to the crime scene photos was 2 little photos of pictures. And upon me leaning forward and looking closer, I noticed that the pictures were Stephen and Ronnie. Now mind you, Stephen was 8 at that time and Ronnie was 6. So I snatched the paper from the man and I started reading it. And it's saying 2 children found murdered in the basement of the building at Valentine Avenue, on and on and on. Big news article, front page, inserts, everything. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on. The man is hollering, give me back my paper, give me back my paper. I'm telling them, these are my kids. These are my kids. And I don't know what to do. And I won't forget, Supton Boulevard was the stop. I got off the train. I had the paper in my hand. He was screaming behind me. I heard him screaming, but right now my mind wasn't focusing on what was going on. I got to the telephone and I called my house. And once again, my brother was like, gotta come home. I said, hey, I'm looking at the paper saying Stephen and Ronnie are dead. What's going on? Crazy. He's like, man, you got to get home. I was like, is it true? Are they killed? Did somebody kill them? What happened? Where's she? Where's my wife at? Blah, blah, blah. So I started getting hysterical because he was going on and going on. Then my mother got on the phone. And I think that's when I lost it, because she was like, my grandbabies are gone. My grandbabies are gone. What am I going to do? My grandbabies are gone. And that's when it hit me the most. Now, from that point on, this is how I truly believe that everyone has a guardian angel. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't remember. What I do remember is the last thing my brother said to me was like, take a cab, because in New York City you don't have to call a cab like in other places. You can just go up to the sidewalk, put your hand out, and the cab will stop. He said, take a cab, come home, I'll pay for the cab. Just come on home right now. So I remember heading upstairs, and it must be like something sent a golden chariot. Some power, some entity. I'm not going to base it on religions, because there's different type of religions. All I can say was it was a chariot. It just so happened that the cab that I got into knew the exact destination where I was going once I told him. He knew the area perfectly. So in my state of mind, as distraught I was, I'm not too good at explaining at that point. I'm holding the paper, I'm reading this, somebody's screaming in my ear, saying stuff. I know somebody's next to me, but I don't know who's next to me because my mind is racing on all these thoughts. The driver, I can't be explaining to him because, you know, I'm like, I need to go to the theater. You know, I'm in an emotional state. But somehow I had some clarity, and I told him he knew exactly where I was going. So as we go from Queens, traveling to the Bronx, when I arrived in the Bronx at my mom's house, I got out the cab. My brother came over to me. He hugged me, and I'm still upset. And he went over to the cab, and he spoke to the cab driver, and then the cab pulled off. So I said, "Did you pay the cab driver?" And he said he didn't want no money. I was like, "Oh, was that guy in the back seat?" He said, "What guy?" I said, "The guy that was sitting next to me on the ride home." He was like, "Man, I know you hurting now, but there was nobody inside that cab." There is no way you can tell me that nobody was in that cab with me, because somebody was there. Somebody was telling me, "It's going to be all right. You're going to be okay. You can be strong. I'm going to help you through this." Somebody was there. I know in my heart that somebody was there. But I did have that newspaper, and I still have that newspaper. So anyway, where the hardest part came in was people started coming out the building. My brother, my sister, my mother-in-law, her mother, my brother, some aunts and everything, some police officers. And then I saw this woman, she had the badge and it said New York City Medical Examiner. That's when it really hit me. My wife, I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's been murdered or somebody done kidnapped her or what's going on. Nobody has the full story. There's a whole thing that's going around. Nobody can find her. You know, so a lot of things is going on. But I'll get to that in a minute. But for right now, she tells me, the medical examiner, she tells me that I have to go downtown and I have to identify the bodies. You telling me that I'm going to have to come downtown and identify my kids' bodies? My 8 and 6-year-old children bodies, because they've been slaughtered. And I mean slaughtered. Badly slaughtered. And you know, it's really, it's kind of rough, but I do a lot of speaking engagements, and it helps me through it. You know, I'll never gain full control, but every now and then it helps, and I deal with it. Now, this here is Ronnie. I'm trying to let you see the writing. I'm trying to hold it still so you can see. It says, incised stab wounds of the neck, chest, right index, trachea, esophagus, carotid arteries, jugular vein, lung, and cervical spine. It's checked over here. Homicide. This here is Stephen. He's 8. It says multiple incised stab wounds of the neck, chest, abdomen, back, left fingers, lung, larynx, esophagus, liver, right carotid artery, right jugular vein, internal hemorrhage, homicide. Now, once we got to the morgue, I was so upset. My brother said that he would go in and look at the computer monitor because they said it was too bad. So he went back there to identify him, and he comes running out, and he's all upset. I just had to know, so I went running back there. And that's one thing I should have never did, because I completely lost it. I had to be restrained. They had to medicate me. They had to medicate me to keep me calm, you know. So finally, the next day, they reached her that night, but I was so out of it, couldn't do it. The next day, they had questioned her, and they asked her. The story that I got from some of the officers that I knew was that morning, she let them go to school by themselves. Now, mind you, the school wasn't far away. If you went to Stephen's room, you could look out his window and see the kids go straight to the school, because the school was right in front of where we lived. So you could see them actually go right into the school. And normally she would take them every day to school. But this day, whatever happened, I don't know. She sent them to school. Then she went with her girlfriend to go take care of something. The children left for school at 7:30 that morning. Now, mind you, 80% of the building where I lived was dominated by women and children. Hardly any fathers on the scene. So it was a lot of single women taking care of 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, you know. And so it was abundance of children, abundance of people that lived in the building, neighbors. So it wasn't uncommon for the kids to go with them, and they'll take them to school. Or if the neighbor wasn't feeling good, then I'll say Dawn, that's my wife's name, she would take the kids to school, you know, and they would take turns and all. So I don't know what happened that day. They didn't find the kids until 6 o'clock that evening. They had been trying to get in touch with her, but couldn't. With me, they had no contact information. You know, she never had me on the name list at school, or no contact information. So they didn't know how to get in touch with me either. And I still don't understand how they had security working. Security was working there 24 hours a day, so there was shifts. So how come no one did no routine? Like when I was doing security and I was in a building, and I would make rounds. Every hour you would go and you would check. So why wasn't somebody checking the staircases and all? Now, let me take you back a little bit just to show you what I mean about this building. My apartment was on the left-hand side. The staircase was down up against, like down the hallway a little bit. So every time I was with the kids, I'd have them by their hands. I hold them, And I said, come on, y'all want to go on the bad staircase? No, Daddy. No, please, please. No, come on. You want to see what's in there. No, Daddy. No, please, please. No, come on. You want to go. You keep asking me what's in there. Come on, let me go. No, Daddy. And I mean, I would literally have to like try and pull them, and they would be sliding, terrified about going in the place where they were found. So that led me to believe that when they left the house, someone, whoever was in that hallway, had to know them. No one heard no screams. No one heard no commotion. We're talking 7:30 in the morning. Everybody that lives in the building is taking children. There's so many children in this building. There's movement going on everywhere. How come nobody heard nothing? It couldn't have been a stranger, because the stranger, Stephen and Ronnie, would have been screaming at the top of their lungs because they knew. Me being a special officer, they knew that was bad there. They're not going there for nothing. And they know about stop. They know about stranger danger, stranger danger. They know this. So, no way. And for both of them, because I would show them martial arts at times and different things, so it was no way one person could grab them and take them both at the same time. You couldn't do it. So that led me to believe there had to be two people. Because that's why I believe they cut their throats, just so they couldn't scream. And then stabbed them multiple times. And I guess I would find out later on that it looked like it was a warning, for something. Something happened along the way. I don't know. They never caught the people. They never, as far as the investigation is still a cold case. I still have people in the force that are working on it still, that will never let it stop looking for things. But it's been years. But no one was ever found. And before my wife died in 1994, they asked her, do you have anything to say? Do you remember anything? And she said, I'm not telling you. Shh. You can imagine how I felt at that point. But anyway, that's a little bit about what's going on. Now let's fast forward. I went to court and I gave them the information they needed to prove that the kids were deceased and they needed to terminate the order. Now, mind you, remember, Philip Jr., he was still with me. And the only reason he's alive is because he was with me and my mom. That's the only reason. But I went back in, and if you can see this, that date right there, you see how old they were you see how they put when this was filed. But it says, ordered that the order of support herein dated April 18, 1984, being same as hereby is terminated effective September 1st, 1987. So, if the kids' deaths was supposed to be terminated in 87, which I gave them information and sent it to them, So now I'm wondering how, bear with me 1 second. I'm trying to show you a paper, but I can't find it right now. But I'm going to say this. They're saying I owe $13,000 payable to my deceased wife, who's dead. They just sent me a letter today, and the letter says, Dear Madam Dawn, we are writing to you in reference to the above listed child support account. At this time, our office is requesting verification of your current mailing address. Cemetery, Mount Hope Cemetery. As there is possibility that there are funds due to you. They have been garnishing my paychecks since 1987. They have taken my taxes since 1987. And now they're taking monies from me, my disability. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's why I put this out there for you. How do I owe $13,000 for children who have been dead since 1985? In 1987, you knew about it. You have documentation, New York City Child Support Unit. The supervising judge, I'm just going to say the Honorable Judge Calvin, Part A, Bronx, New York, Family Court. That's all I'm going to say right now. I've been in the paper. As you can see, Charlotte Observer. There I am, right there. And if you can see this, suicide attempts, 3 psychiatric hospital stays, many medical hospital stays, post-traumatic stress disorder, daily medications. I need help to fight child support. Why? In 1985, my 2 kids were murdered in New York City. I notified child support with the certificates, death certificates, but they are still taking my money in 2012, payable to my deceased wife who died in 1993. Stephen died February 20, 1985. Ronnie, which first name is Charles, died 1985. And Dawn, $1993. So how much loss can one person take? Help. And this is the question I got for a lot of people. Is your child support money supporting deceased parents or children. Mine is. Help me. So, I don't have money for a lawyer. I've written to some news channels, but nobody's getting back to me. I need help. I need feedback. If there's a lawyer out there that possibly believes that I have a good case, that would maybe take my case on assignment, my email is philipsr1515. Let me write that for you. Philip Sr. 1515 at yahoo.com. Philip Sr. 1515 at yahoo.com or Facebook. So, if you're out there, America, there's more to this story. Like, I'm taking high dosages of medications now to keep me calm. I can't do Christmases because Christmas of 1984 was the last time I got to see them. The next time I saw them was February 20th, 1985 in the morgue. So I don't do good at Christmas. I see a psychiatrist. I've been seeing a psychiatrist for the past like 5 years. I do some public speaking engagements. I've told my stories in Raleigh. I told my stories with NAMI. I told my story to police trainings here in Mecklenburg County. I spoke in front of the county commissioners in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm going to try and advocate for this. They are locking people up, saying they owe money for child support. But do you really know if your money is going to support your child? Suppose not everybody in this world is honest. Some people need that check. So if you haven't seen your children in 25 years, or 3 years, or 5 years, and they're taking your money, but hey, what can you say? Long as she takes it, leaves me alone. I don't care. I'll go on. I can have me more kids. Whatever may be the problem behind it. But who's checking for the welfare of the children? Isn't child support supposed to be for the welfare of a child? Supporting the child? Even if you don't have an order to see your child. Still, if you were told to support your child, you support your child. But suppose you don't know her whereabouts. Suppose you haven't seen the children since they were born. You don't know if they're alive or dead, but they're taking your money. But who's watching them? How, after all this time, you have documentation, and now you have the gall. I relive this every day, man. This affects me every day. I lost my kids. I lost my wife. I lost my life. You know, it's too much. It's appalling. It's utterly disgusting to say that I owe money for people who are deceased, and the monies you've been taking over the last couple of years, you just sent me a letter stating that we have money waiting for you. Mount Hope Cemetery. Mount Hope Cemetery. Mount Hope Cemetery. When they take me to the grave and show me them depositing the monies they taken from me and giving it to her, That's when I'll pay the $13,000 they say that she owes me later.